every day after we practiced, we were saying, okay, see you tomorrow. And they were like, you are coming tomorrow? Oh, okay. I think for at least 1 month, they were really expecting us to give up. So the four of us went to this first seminar, and it was really changing our Kyudo lives. It was really, really, because it was a big seminar, and it was meeting those Hanshi, Hachidan sensei. It was amazing.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Tokushikai Inside Look podcast. Today we're speaking with Elisa Corrêa from Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. Elisa has been training for over 10 years, having began Kyudo at the Tokyo University of Foreign Studies, and is currently Yondan. Following the short stint in Japan where she specialized in Japanese language, and with the support of a few key individuals, Elisa founded the Brazil Kyudo Association and continues to serve as president of this organization. Elisa's story is one of grit and perseverance, having discovered a love for this traditional martial art and was unwilling to give it up when no community, program, or space existed where she lived. This experience resonates with so many of us in the international community and demonstrates what we are capable of when we support each other physically, mentally, and spiritually in our journey. I'm honored to know Elisa as a person and have had this opportunity to share her continuing journey to developing Kyudo in Brazil.
I'm Elisa Corrêa. I'm from Rio de Janeiro in Brazil, and I am a Japanese language teacher. When I was in university studying Japanese, I got this opportunity to go to Tokyo University of Foreign Studies. Actually, before I traveled, I was talking with one senpai, a person that did the same exchange before I did it. And he went to another university, but he was doing Kyudo while he was in Tokyo. He was in Waseda, and he started going to this Kyudo club. And then he was recommending it to me, saying like, it's a good opportunity to make Japanese friends and practice your Japanese. So when I set off to Tokyo, I already had in mind, I'm going to look for Kyudo club, even if I had no idea what that was. I was really not, actually I still consider myself not to be a sports person, and I had no martial arts background. And I went to Tokyo, and in the beginning was so many stuff going on, so I was actually taking a long time until I went to the Kyudo club. And I think it was in the beginning of 2006. Yeah, I think it was in the beginning of March or in the end of February that a friend of mine that knew that I had this interest of Kyudo, she saw the Kyudo people trying to get new students to enter in the Kyudo club. And then she got me a handout, and she said, okay, let's go there. I go with you. And we went to the Kyudo club. And they were actually not there. They were during this winter gashuku, when they go somewhere else to practice the whole day. So we were waiting. And in March, they finally came back, and we went there and we started doing Kyudo in Tokyo Gaidai. It's like the Tokyo Gai. Oh my God, now I can. It's the Tokyo University of Foreign Studies. Yeah. And it was, yeah.
Let's actually get into, like, you were already studying Japanese in university in Brazil. What got you interested in Japan in the first place?
Oh my God. I'm always a little bit puzzled when people ask me that because it was really random. I really like studying languages, and I love Portuguese. My main focus in university was studying Portuguese. But then we had to take a second language. And I thought that there was no point in studying stuff like Spanish or English because it's kind of too easy. So when Japanese class started, I was like, oh, this is interesting. This is very different. So I went there to check it out, and it was so intriguing and so different. I was really studying hard, and I like studying hard. Because of that, the teachers in university were saying like, maybe you could change your major to Japanese, and maybe you could do this exchange. And I was, I don't know if I want to change my major, but the exchange is going to be nice. So that was kind of it. I was never, at first, I was not really into Japanese culture. My focus was pretty much the language. And after I went to Japan, then I started developing interest in several aspects of Japanese culture. But in the beginning, it was really only the language thing.
Okay, could you describe your move to Japan and then what was daily life like in the beginning?
I went to Japan in the end of 2005, and going there was a very difficult process because I never had been out of Brazil. So I had no idea how to pack. My suitcase was a really big mess and is very, very far away from Brazil. It was a 30-hour flight. I was over a day in the plane. So even the plane thing was really, really hard to me. I arrived in Narita and it's a long way to the university. So I think it took like 2 hours to get to the university. When I arrived there, I was completely dead and very confused. But, they were very, very receptive in the university. So the first month was really like trying to understand how I was supposed to live alone there, not being able to speak Japanese that well at that time. I had Japanese language classes every day, several hours a day, I think like 4 hours a day. So it was really, really difficult in the beginning, because my Japanese language level was not very good. So I had to study very hard. And that's actually why I could not go to the Kyudo club in the beginning. Just studying in the mornings and doing thousands of homework in the evenings. Sometimes my friends and I went out to some place more in the center of Tokyo, because we were kind of far away from the most common touristic places. In the weekends, and when we have a little bit more time, we would go to Rio itself and
Could you be
see
more
stuff.
specific? So people that haven't been to Tokyo, where were you?
Oh, okay. So I was in this. It's like if you say Tokyo, usually people think of places like a temple called Asakusa or Tokyo Tower. These places are like really in the heart of Tokyo. But this university campus is more to the west. And I think if you take the train, would be like an hour. So it's really far from these main places. It's a very calm place. So it's good to study, but it's not very good to, see stuff and having lots of fun. I mean, there is Ajinomoto Stadium, like the soccer stadium is there. So, when there is a big game, then people go to this place. But otherwise, it's really a quiet place. It's well connected because Japan in general is very well connected by train, so you can go from there to anywhere really easy.
Okay, so you started to settle in and then you had time and your friend introduced you to the Kyudo club. What was it like starting out there? What were the first things they asked you to do?
Well, actually, I think that the first problem they had with me and my friends is that we got there in the wrong time because it was March, right? And usually they have this schedule where people get in April. So we were kind of too early. And they were also very confused with 2 foreigners coming in. I think at that time they didn't have any foreigner there in, I don't know, at least a long time, because there was no record of foreigners doing Kyudo in their club. And, it's like, maybe in Japan, I don't stand, like people don't pay that much attention to me because, since I'm Brazilian, so I have dark hair and kind of dark skin. So they just look at me and maybe I look something like Philippine or something like that. But my friend was really tall and blonde and blue eyes. So everybody was kind of like, oh my God, a foreigner is coming in. But they were really receptive and trying to, oh, so you want to know about this? Okay, we can show it to you. But they were really not believing that we wanted actually to do it. And we really went there like, we are going to do this. We were not testing and trying to see how it was. We were really determined to do it. So every day after we practiced, we were saying, okay, see you tomorrow. And they were like, you are coming tomorrow? Oh, okay. I think for at least 1 month, they were really expecting us to give up, because it's like they have 2 different types of activities in university. not, beside classes. They have this really hard practicing clubs. And this was the kind of the Kyudo club, because usually when it's sports, they have competitions. So they want you to train really hard. So they had practice every day, even Saturdays and Sundays. And we were going there every day. We were practicing Kyudo 7 days a week. Some of the most determined people were really practicing for maybe 4 hours a day. We usually stay only 2 hours because, we had homework and other stuff to do. I really don't know how they practice so much, but yeah, they do it. So this other kind of club is more like this, and we want to know people that like this too. Usually, for example, the people that like manga or anime, they are in this, they call it circle. So it's a lot of people that like this stuff get together to talk. But if it's sports club, then it's usually really hard. They are really practicing every day. 2 days a week, I think it was Wednesday and Saturday. They had a special practice day when we should really be in the formal clothes, the hakama and the kyudo-gi. And they did kind of like if it was a competition. It's not really the same, but they were really taking the records and everybody should be there. In the other days, it was just like, you practice by yourself and you didn't even need to be in Kyudo clothes. So people were really practicing in normal clothes. And since we are talking about this, there's another thing. When I was there, we really could practice with no tabi. And to me, even today, I don't know how many years after, I'm still shocked that some sensei say, for example, once I heard Blackwell sensei really talking hard with someone that's like, oh my God, you're coming in dojo with no tabi, this is unacceptable. And I was really like, oh my God, why we could practice with no tabi in university and here is not allowed? And I was always like, I really like practicing with barefoot because I can feel the ground. So it's really helping me. I don't know.
So did their attitude towards you change after they saw that you were serious about practice?
Yeah, it changed a lot. It's like with time, they were really like, okay, they're really staying here and they were really accepting us better. And it was really, really good experience, not just for practicing Japanese, but really see better into Japanese culture and of course to learn about Kyudo. Actually, the things I learned about Kyudo at that time were really not very organized in my mind because they had no sensei. There was no person that knew more coming. So it was just like this system where the person that were doing before you were teaching you. So usually they have like 3 generations, the people that are in the 3rd year of university, the 2nd year of university, and the 1st year. Usually people leave when they get to the 4th year of university because it's when they are supposed to start looking for a job. So they are too occupied to keep doing it because they train every day, right? So since they practice every day, they can't look for a job. Yeah. Because of that, it's like there were lots of stuff that I was really not getting how it was working very well at that time. But yeah, it was very, very interesting experience.
So a couple of dojos that I've been to in Japan, we would practice a bit and then there would be like a tea time where everyone gets together, has conversations, talks about Kyudo or non-Kyudo stuff. How did you guys manage the social aspect, like the conversations or even just discussing about technique and what you can work on? Any of that?
Yeah, it was really not, there was no time exactly. Because imagine it was a dojo that was open from 8 in the morning to 8 in the night. And students were just coming in and coming out. And many of them were there to supervise the younger ones. But sometimes they were in the tatami doing like homework. While other people were shooting. So it's kind of more easygoing thing. Maybe it was like permanent tea time. You can shoot, but yeah, you can also take a break. Except in these formal training days. In those days, they were really like, you have a schedule really tight to follow. And in those days, I guess the break would be lunch. So we usually went all together to Combini in Kyudo clothes. So it's really like that mass moving was really interesting to see. And then coming back and having lunch, everybody together and doing this small talk.
So during this time while you're practicing while in university, were you introduced to any outside Kyudo clubs or communities, or did you go to
No, not at that time. I met a few, they call it OB. It's like a person that graduated by that school long ago, and then they come back to teach a little bit more. Like if they keep doing Kyudo, they then go there in one of these more formal practice days, and they try to help out. But it's not, as far as I understand, was not very organized system. So sometimes we had one of these persons there and sometimes not. And then I met a few of those people. But yeah, at that time I was not going to any other dojo. So I did went to a few other dojos, but for competition. So it was really different because it's not like we could understand how other dojo was working. And in the end, it was also a university dojo, so maybe it was not that different. Now I've been in dojos that are not connected to university, so I see there's big difference, right? Yeah, very different.
Okay, so we've covered everything that during that time. Let's go back to now, I guess, right? You finished your studies and you were coming straight back to Brazil, or did you have anything else to?
No, I was there for 1 year, of which I only practiced Kyudo for 6 months. And then I came back to Brazil because I had to finish university here. When I came back to Brazil, I already knew that there was no Kyudo in Brazil. So I was like, yeah, Kyudo is over here. I'm not doing this again, ever. I was thinking that. But many of my Brazilian friends knew that I was doing Kyudo and they were actually really excited. They wanted to see it. And then one of my friends introduced me to a Japanese language teacher in Rio, that he was a Japanese man and he used to do Kyudo when he was still living in Japan. And this friend of mine introduced us and he was like, I've actually wanting to come to start a Kyudo group because I heard there's some people interested in it. So maybe we can start this group, we can find a place and do this. And this person is called Nobuo Yanai. He actually had Shodan, but he took his Shodan 30 years before. He was already 30 years living in Brazil with no Kyudo. So in our beginning, because we managed to find a place and to start this Kyudo group in Rio. So when we started, it was really like, a Shodan person with no practice for 30 years and 6 months practice Muda. So it was really, we really wanted to do Kyudo, but the structure that we had was so bad. It's really difficult. We had a lot of help from many people, and I think the main person that actually really made this work was Yoshiko Buchanan sensei. At that time, this was in 2008. So it's like after I came back, there was a gap. I was not practicing for kind of a year and a half. So Yoshiko sensei managed to come to Rio on her private vacations. And she brought 2 bowls and a few old kake, stuff that she gave us to start this Kyudo club here. She was really, really nice. And she was practicing with us for a couple of days while she was in Rio. So we would let's go to the Corcovado, the Christ statue, and then come back to practice. Let's go see the sugar loaf and then come back to practice. It was a really interesting trip for her, I think. And so we were practicing with her and then, trying to figure out how we were going to do our own little Kyudo club. But Yanai sensei, we call him Yanai sensei because he was a Japanese language teacher, not because he's a Kyudo sensei. So he was really excited at that time. He already put in our group. So we were 5 people, and he was giving the group the name of Brasil Kyudo Kai. That would be like the Kyudo Association of Brazil. And we we were like just, a small group in Rio, but we were already born with this name. And we managed, we were like practicing 2 to 3 times a week with the little that we knew. And in 2010, Shiko Sensei was coming again to Rio. And that time we managed to do like this big, well, not that big, but big to us seminar. She was here for, I think, practicing really hard for 3 days. And she brought with her Junko Sensei, that's also from California. Yoshiko Sensei is from California and Junko Sensei was from there too. And we found, and that was really nice at that time, we found another Brazilian that had practiced Kyudo before. She was living, I think, in a province called Gunma. It's like more to the middle west of Japan. And he was living there for like 13 years and he had Godan. But then he decided to come back to Brazil. He's not from Rio. He was living in the countryside. But he found us in the internet and we were talking and he was like, oh, please come here. Let's, teach us stuff because we know nothing. And he was coming by this time along with Yoshiko Sensei. It was really, really nice seminar to us. And because it was so kind of big event here, people from other parts of Brazil also heard of this. So after that, we started a group in other cities of Brazil. Like we were going to Brasilia, this is Brazil's capital, and we helped them to make a group there. So we were going there every 3 months or so to help them out to, I think, 1,000 kilometers.
Wow.
Yeah, it's really fun. But it's like, the country size is big, like Canada's. So I don't know. It's really like there is no easy way to do this when we have no good structure, right? Because it's like the distance are big and we had no proper sensei at that time. I think 2010. Yeah, I think Yanai Sensei was still Shodan. He was taking Nidan in the next year, I think. So it was really like kind of this experience I had in the university was like the people who knew a little bit was teaching the people who knew nothing. But usually we heard sensei saying like, oh, you should learn from a sensei if you want to learn it well. And I totally agree with that. But at that time we had no choices. You could learn from Amudan or you would have to wait, just not do Kyudo. And then, things are actually a little bit like this still. Nowadays, we have lots of Shodan and a few Nidan and Sandan. But every time someone comes to me and say like, oh, I want to start a Kyudo group in my city, I say like, okay, we are going to find you we are going to find someone that can go there and teach to your group. But usually the best you get is Shodan or Nidan. Yeah.
But it's funny, when you're first starting out, you have to do whatever is necessary to get the group together. I'm also interested in how do these initial connections, how did you get connected with Yoshiko Sensei? And then during this 2010 seminar, how did these people outside of Rio learn about that?
Yeah, so it's really interesting because it's like a man from Brasilia was interested in doing Kyudo. I don't know exactly how he heard about Kyudo, but he heard about Kyudo and he was really like, oh, I would like to do this. And looking in the internet, he could not find Kyudo in Brazil because this was like maybe 2007 or 6, I don't know. So he was writing to the American Kyudo Federation. And at that time, Yoshiko Sensei was the president. So she was answering to him saying like, yeah, as far as I know, there is no Kyudo in Brazil, but I'm going to look for you. And she was getting in contact with the consulate, I think, or the embassy. And I'm not sure exactly how, but someone knew that Yanai Sensei used to practice Kyudo. So this person in the embassy was connecting Yanai Sensei with Yoshiko Sensei. And then he was telling her, yeah, I want to start a Kyudo group, but, right now there is nothing here. I mean, I have no bow, I have no glove, no arrows. But I'm going to try. So when I met him, that's what he was talking about. He already had this mail exchange with Yoshiko Sensei, and already had told her that he wanted to start a Kyudo group. But yeah, it took a year and a half to make it happen. And after we started, the first thing we did was to put a website saying like, yeah, we want to start a Kyudo group. Kyudo is this and this and this. We had a little explanation what is Kyudo. And we were saying we want to start a group. If you are interested, please come in contact with us. And lots of people showed around. But it's really like, Kyudo is really hard. So usually people kind of give up pretty fast. But yeah, in the first days, I think we had like, 30 people coming to the dojo. And we were really like, oh my God, it's too many. we didn't have the space to that many people. Ever since, we really use the website as like our main platform to give out information about what we are doing. Nowadays, we also use, Facebook, and now we have Instagram. But I'm only putting stuff in the website because I'm really not good with the other stuff. So yeah, other people are doing the Instagram and the Facebook, but we try to put this out everywhere so we can have, more people coming. And usually it's working. In the seminar was like that, we had people coming all over Brazil. I was really impressed. There was people flying from really, really far away to that first seminar.
So at this point, in order to get any grades, you have to go to an official seminar somewhere. Yeah. So can you talk about getting started going to the American Kyudo Renmei seminar?
Oh, yeah.
Like your journey and any of your students and other people going.
Yeah, it's like Yoshiko Sensei came in 2008 and we kept contact with her even today, it's like ever since we are in contact with her. And she was already pushing us to go to the seminar, to the international seminar in 2010. But at that time, we were thinking like, yeah, we don't know yet. Maybe it's kind of too early. We were really not confident. But since she said that in 2010, we started thinking, yeah, we have to get prepared for this. And then the first seminar that Brazil members participated was in the next year, in 2011. We went to the seminar of the American Kyudo Federation in Minnesota. I think we're 4 of us. Yane Sensei could not go. This was really, really a big impact to us. But it was me and Igor Prata and Luis Bering and Cesar Ortiz, who actually now live in Japan. But I think he's not doing Kyudo anymore. So the 4 of us went to this first seminar and it was really changing our Kyudo lives. It was really, really big. Because it was a big seminar, right? I think that one was kind of 150 people. It was like 50 people of Mudan alone. And it was meeting those Hanshi, Hachidan Sensei. And yeah, it was amazing. It was really an experience. And we all failed to take Shodan. We all got first Q. And when actually we met in that seminar, right?
Yeah, no, that was the first time Toronto Kyudo group went to a big seminar too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
We met each other there mainly I think because we were very close in age. So our numbers next to each other.
Yeah. I'm not sure if we were in the same line. Maybe.
Probably, I think so.
Yeah, I think so. Because it was either that or I think you were split, right? You, your brother and your wife. I think part of you were in my line and part of you were in the next line, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, so you went there and that was like the really eye-opening experience. And then you brought that story back to Brazil.
Yeah.
Tell others.
Yeah, it was really like that. It's like since that seminar, what we understood is that if we want to do proper Kyudo, we really need to go to these seminars. And it's like the level of Kyudo you can learn in a seminar and the connection with people that are doing Kyudo in other places is really so important. And even when we have our Brazilian seminar, it's already so nice to us. And so we really need people that do Kyudo in Brazil and want to do it more seriously to go to the international seminar, because this is how we feed ourselves. We have no sensei here. So we need to go there and learn everything we can and, do these connections with people from other countries and learn from their experience too. And this is one of the things I was really happy to hear your other interview with Hof Sensei from Germany, because I was like, yeah, their experience is not that different from us. It's so good to hear this kind of thing and to have ideas of how we can solve some of our problems. Like they were building their own dojo. I was really like, oh my God, okay, maybe I can build a dojo too. So yeah, it's really, really important that we go to these seminars. And of course, it's where we can learn to teach all the people here that cannot go. Yeah, we still have so many Mudan. So.
Yeah, and I think that a lot of us, either people in Europe or people in North America, for us going to Minnesota was like a 3-hour flight and maybe $500 Canadian, something like that. What was it like for you guys having to make that trip?
Well, at that time, that very specific year, we were very, very lucky because the American dollar was not very expensive to us. But still, I think was maybe a 16-hour flight. And well, altogether, maybe $1,000. It was really, it's very expensive to do Kyudo in Brazil if you think of the seminars. If you don't think of seminars, it's not. At least in Rio, we can practice for, now the dollar is really expensive. So if I put in dollars, it's going to be really ridiculous. I think for the dojo, we pay in Rio kind of like $10 a month. Yeah, $10 a month. Yeah, because it's like it's the real, that's our national currency, and dollar is kind of varying a lot. So in 2011 it was really almost the same, but right now American dollar is really expensive to us. So if you come here, you will become immediately rich. But so it's like to practice is not that expensive because we can get the dojo for a very low price, but to travel is really, really hard.
Okay, so you came back, and then since then, how has the Kyudo community grown in Brazil? How has it changed? There's always this huge excitement at the beginning when everyone starts and there's a large group of people, but then you have these troughs before you go back up. So can you talk a little bit about the ups and downs over the past several years?
Yeah, it's exactly like that. It's really like in the first month, we had that huge flow of people, like 20, 30 people coming to the dojo to try it out. But soon enough, it was reduced to maybe 5, 6 people. And in Rio, we have this number quite stable. It's like sometimes we have a little bit more and sometimes we get like a little bit less, but usually we stay around this 6 people in Rio. But since 2010 we started helping groups outside of Rio. And the second group we helped out was this group in Brasilia from this guy that actually sent the first email to Yoshiko Sensei. He was waiting for this long time. It was 4 years waiting for us. He's really, really nice person. I love him. He actually is not doing it right now. He was like too much work, but even though he's not practicing anymore, he really made a very strong, very good group in Brasilia. And they are, I think, the most stable and the larger group in Brazil ever since, it's like since 2010, they have like 20 to, I think, 14 to 20 people all the time. They're really, really stable group. And they have now, I think now they have like lots of Nidan. They still don't have a Sandan there. And they have Shodans. And then there was the group of São Paulo in 2012. Yeah, this one I was not going personally to help them out. Usually in the past was always Yanai Sensei going to these other places to help out. And sometimes I went with him. But by the time São Paulo group was starting, I was preparing to travel myself to China. I went to China that year. So Igor was going with Yanai to São Paulo and was also like a huge success because the guy that was organizing the group there is Luciano Nishikawa. He's so good in doing this. He's really, really, he has a lot of experience in other arts. So maybe that's why he really saw how he should make things. So he found a place and he rented the place himself and he put out the words and he got a good group in the beginning. And I think it was also having lots of comings and goings, but now he has also a very good group. I think it's over 10 people. And well, yeah, there is lots of groups in like this more than 10 years. There was some that was not being able to remain. Like they started, for example, in Fortaleza, they started the practice for 2 years and then they died. Like the group was not getting stable, and other places too. Usually the main problem is to find a good place that's cheap enough for you to practice all the time, right? Because if you have a rent that's too expensive, then you cannot make money enough to buy the bows and buy the arrows and all the other stuff. So the main point is find a good, safe place to and cheap place to practice. And the other problem is also the organization problem. So yeah, this is also a lot of work. And this is like my main work right now. I usually have to do the email exchange with the federation and all, help to find people, okay, who is going there and answer the emails and stuff like that. Also kind of pain.
Is that there's a Brazilian Kyudo Federation?
We don't call it federation, we call it association. But yeah, there is one. Yeah.
How was that created?
Well, it's kind of natural since we were born with that name. It's because since we were the first group in 2008 and we were helping out to create the other groups, we were kind of born connected. You know, there is only one group that started outside of us. I think in 2013 or something like that. It was a group in a city called João Pessoa. A JICA teacher, Japanese language teacher, had a Kyudo experience and she was working there. And then she started a group by herself because she didn't know that we existed. And then she was doing her JICA work and teaching people Japanese culture. And so she started this Kyudo group. But then she found us and she was like, oh my God, there is a Kyudo association. So let's work together. And then they integrated with us. And eventually she left, right? Because I think JICA volunteers, they can only work in the same place for 2 years or so. So she was living in Brazil, but they were already connected with us. So it was no problem. But yeah, all the other groups, this maybe I should talk about this. It's like sometimes people in the Kyudo Facebook group, you know, that big Kyudo group in Facebook, they post stuff about this not Kyudo things going on in Brazil. There is a big group, I think they're called Bugue or something. And yeah, they are in Brazil, but they are not just in Brazil. I think they also have a branch in Spain or maybe Italy or something in Europe. And they are doing really, really wrong stuff. Even if you are still Mudan, but you have done a little bit of Kyudo, you can see that they are doing stuff that is very different from what we call Kyudo. But they are kind of famous in internet. I'm not sure why. And sometimes in that Facebook group, people were like putting those videos and say, oh, look what they're doing in Brazil. And it's so sad because we are working so hard here to do the proper things, but because of this group, other people were like saying, oh, in Brazil, they don't know what's Kyudo. So the guy that was, you know, managing Facebook to us, he was always like that. This is not true. We know Kyudo. These are other people. Please don't mix us with them. And, you know, yeah. So it's like there are this other stuff going on here. But if you talk about the International Kyudo Federation style of Kyudo, we are really the only group. And we were already born in this completely connected way. One family. Yeah.
That always seems, it's always going to be a challenge with the traditional martial arts because the ones that are serious about the practice want to stay humble and not about promoting themselves. So it's obviously going to be the ones that are kind of wishy-washy that will put themselves out there and that's all you see.
Yeah, because they do like this. I think they consider themselves kind of ninja, you know. You can see some videos of they like rolling in the ground, grabbing the ball and shooting in whatever. Or even shooting, sometimes they are shooting at people and I'm like, oh my God, they're crazy. So yeah, I think that's why they kind of get famous, but yeah, we don't know who they are. We never met.
Okay, so you're now one of the people that started Kyudo really in Brazil and you're one of the higher ranks. What kind of responsibility do you feel towards the country in itself and what are your aims and goals for the next couple of years?
Yeah, it's a big question. Yeah, I'm currently fourth dan, right? And there is another guy that's fourth dan in São Paulo. So we are like the highest ranks. That I was talking before, the guy that had fifth rank, like Godan, he kind of stopped practicing, unfortunately. And we feel that we need a Godan. We really need a Godan. So it's like we want two things right now. First, we want a high rank person. So I'm always like pushing people like, please go to the seminar and take ranks. And the second thing that we want is to become proper members of the International Kyudo Federation. In the past, we heard that we needed a high rank person to be accepted, but it seems that this is not necessary anymore. So we sent already an email to them asking, we want to be a member. We have over 10 years of Kyudo practice here. But unfortunately, because of the whole pandemic, they are closed. Their office is closed, so we had no answer yet. But we are preparing for this so we can, and this is like our ultimate goal, have seminars in Brazil, because I see that this is the only way that we can really grow properly. Because since we have no high ranks here, we need sensei coming. We have been inviting senseis from outside to teach in Brazil ever since the beginning. It's like Yoshiko Sensei came by herself in 2008. But after that, we were bringing her every 2 years. Now she cannot travel anymore because it's like over 20-hour flights to her, so it's really hard. But we are now being instructed by Tsuehiro Nakazono Sensei. He's from Tokyo. We met him through a consulate. How do you call that? Oh my God. It's like a person who was working in the Japanese consulate in Rio. He was also Godan in Kyudo, and he was practicing with us for as long as he was working in Rio. And this Nakazono Sensei is friends of him and was coming here and visiting our dojo. And since Yoshiko Sensei cannot come anymore, we were asking him, can you be our new instructor? And he accepted. So now it's kind of like having two. It's like Yoshiko Sensei is still our instructor too, because we exchange lots of mail with her. But Nakazono Sensei is the one that's actually coming. He came already 2 times to Brazil. He was supposed to come this year too, but he could not. So it's like, this is really difficult because it was so far away and they can only come every once in a while. So we really want to have International Kyudo Federation seminars in Brazil so we can learn better and so we can take the tests and get people out of the mudan that they are. We really have people here that have been mudan for 10 years because they just cannot go outside and take the test. We had a seminar in Argentina, I think 3 years ago. Was really fantastic. There was like over 20 Brazilians going there. But still, there's people that because of the time of the year, because they were busy at work or whatever, they could not go. So if it's here, it's easier. We really want to have seminars in Brazil, and that's why we really want to become members of the International Kyudo Federation. This is our main goal right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I hope you're able to achieve that in the near future.
Thank you.
And we can practice again because right now no one is really going anywhere.
Yeah.
So to wrap this up, I had a few rapid fire questions, short questions that I thought it might be fun to ask you. One of them I see you've answered. So do you have a quote or proverb that you like to live by or practice by? And you mentioned one. Could you talk about that?
Oh yeah, this is called the Seisha Hichu. I was given that by a friend in Kyudo. She was giving me this cute stamp that Japanese people love cute stamps. Written this, and I was really liking it because it means that if you do things properly, then you hit the target. And to me, I think Kyudo is really, the whole idea is not to be concerned with the target, but with the process to make things right so you can hit the target. You should not be thinking, I want to hit or I need to hit. You should be focusing on what you are doing. Yeah, so I really like this Seisha Hichu proverb.
You mentioned that you're not really a sports person.
Yeah.
So what other different or weird or unique interests do you have on the side that you feel you've brought into your Kyudo practice, or vice versa? Your Kyudo practice has helped you in some interest or thing that you do outside of the practice?
Well, to me, the connection is real Japanese language and Kyudo, I think. It's like they're both helping each other all the time. It's like the fact that I understand Japanese is a huge help to Brazilian Kyudo all the time. It's like all the time. In all the seminars, I have to be translating to people from Brazil, and I can exchange emails with the sensei and all. But the other way around too, it's really like because I'm always using Japanese in Kyudo, it's helping my Japanese to improve. So it's really nice that I'm not sure. Maybe less obvious stuff. Since we are in a Budo practice, any one of them, you are supposed to try to improve yourself. Through that practice, I can only help that I'm becoming a better person, even though I'm not sure. Yeah, I was actually asking about this to a sensei once. I think it was Kato sensei from Georgia when he came to Buenos Aires once, and he was saying that, and I was really like, yes, sensei, but I'm not sure if we are becoming better persons. And he was saying the point is that you are trying to. And I was thinking that was really nice because yeah, I like to think like this. It's kind of the seishahi too, right? You should concern yourself, like being focused on the process, not if you're going to hit or not, but if you try enough, maybe you can get there.
Okay, so in Kyudo, there are the hasatsu, the 8 stages of shooting. Which stage is your favorite and why?
Oh, this is a difficult question. Yeah, I always say that someday I want to have a really beautiful zanshin, because I think if you can wrap it up beautifully, then yeah, maybe that's a good sign. Yeah.
That's nice. Okay, is there anything else that you want to mention about your practice? Is there anything that maybe you heard from some of the other interviews that you want to comment on, or something you want to share to people that are listening to this?
Oh, I want to thank you a lot because I was really in love with the other interviews. I was only really listening to the ones of Kyudo. I heard a little bit of the Constantina one, but they were so nice. I was really so happy to be able to listen to all those experiences. And yeah, I could be commenting in lots of stuff for hours here, but yeah, you have to do your work and me as well. I think the one that was really moving me the most was Hofi Sensei because of the building your own dojo and having the same problems of not having access to a sensei as well. It's very hard when you are still in this situation, but yeah. But they were all very interesting. I really hope you keep doing this.
I hope others are willing to share their stories just like you have. And I find it super interesting to hear all the things that you've had to go through. And I'm very impressed. So
thank you.
Keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah, thank you.
All right.
Yeah, it's not very easy really because,
No, we believe in you. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Patrick.
All
Nice
right.
to see you again.
Yeah, nice to see you too. Hopefully we can talk again soon.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, have a great rest of your day.
Thank you, you too.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye.
Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed that episode because we have a lot more exciting conversations to share as we explore the world of the traditional Japanese martial arts. The Inside Look podcast is available on most common podcasting platforms and on YouTube. Remember to subscribe to not miss out on new interviews as they are posted. We're always looking for feedback to improve, so please write us a review or drop us a line at podcast@tokushikai.ca or on Facebook and Instagram at tokushikai.canada. Until next